Hey, boys and girls.
Well, here we are finally, again, at long last.
Been about 2 weeks. So anyway, not streaming as much lately, probably not going to too much in the near future. I'm sort of rewriting my program in my life and working on other things like molecular biology and a few issues I have with family and friends and self. So anyway, taking a break, basically.
It's always good to reassess and readjust.
Yep, and I have a Loki.
If you're doing the same thing that you used to do 3 or 4 years ago, you're probably not growing.
Right, yeah. Well, I decided to melt my brain down and see if I become a Republican. So I want to see what happens.
I'll melt my brain and
Don't
chat
melt my
with
brain.
you. There we go.
So I got a whole bunch of cell content that we've got to get to somehow, and I think I'm more likely to do it earlier in the day, and I just got to dive into it and start doing it. But I do have something that they did last night. Sal and Emory, basically take a dump is what I call it, and it was pretty interesting.
That's cool.
YouTube. So Sal and Emory take a dump. Loki, you're going to be a problem, Loki. Oh, we got to figure out whether or not you can hear this. Okay. That may be a problem. So let me see. What do I have set up here? Stream one. You should be able to hear it. Let's see. Okay, tell me if you can hear this.
Someone like you and other creationists, because
I can hear it fine. It's very, very loud. It's nice.
Okay, good.
I don't have to go, huh? What you saying?
Okay, so they were going on and on about evolution, and Sal was saying so many stupid things. He said that evolutionists aren't critical thinkers. So he's making a statement about how many tens of million people.
Yeah.
And none of them are critical thinkers, in his opinion, but him and Emory are. They're
not too critical. I've not experienced him as a very critical person in the least.
Well, it's kind of amazing that they actually would say something like that out loud, like this whole, like, I don't know if Sal thinks that there's a whole bunch of scientists and then there's this little tiny group of evolutionists, but it's like all of science, dude, does not believe in young Earth creationism. No geologists, no cosmologists, nothing. Like less than 1%, far less than 1% believe in this creation nonsense. Anyway, but then in the middle of it, they kind of went off on a tangent, and I thought I'd play it.
So seriously, it's great to hang out with someone like you and other creationists, because I found one really disturbing study why transgenderism is spreading among females.
Social contagion.
Yeah. What did you call it?
Social contagion.
And so what happens is, if it starts to be like the cool faddish thing, not because it was a rational thing to do, it's just they grab it because it makes them feel cool and faddish, and they don't realize this has devastating consequences if you really take it to where you're modifying your own body. Oh my goodness.
Even if all you do is take hormones, it has devastating consequences. I mean, it has devastating consequences even if you don't take hormones. But the consequences of you taking hormones are then maybe disfiguring yourself permanently because of your desire to be something God didn't make you to be.
Okay, so
number one, there is no God.
Okay, if God made you to be something and he doesn't want you to be this other thing, why would God allow hormones to do that?
Yeah, and then Why do you feel that way?
And yeah, and what is the truth of the matter in taking hormones and the reversibility of stopping the hormone?
And why does he think that people who are considering transitioning, why do they think that they haven't thought of those things? You know, like what are my motivations? Why do I want to? You know, it's like it's just like mansplaining, except it's using a lot of religious language. So
anyway, it gets better because women. You know what they say about women? Well, they're going to say all that about women.
Yeah,
it gets better.
By the way, hold on for just a second.
James
A. Person has joined us.
Hey guys.
Person. Yes.
Good to see you.
It's good to have you here, man. Are you happy this weekend?
Was it the weekend? Oh,
it was a weekend, yes.
I missed it.
Oh no,
missed the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. I'm sure it was great. It was all a blur, but I'm sure it was a wonderful blur.
Yes.
How about yours?
It was a good weekend.
Awesome.
Made a life-changing decision over the weekend.
Yeah, here you go. If like God made some people with low testosterone that are that are not trans, that basically have to take hormone therapy in order to. And in fact, I think a lot of women, when they get into their 50s, have to take hormone therapy. So, what did God want them to be? Like exactly.
So, I mean, do you guys want me to play devil's advocate here and take the Sal position, or?
Well, if you want to, yeah, go ahead and try. Well, as long as you're not as offensive as him.
No, I mean, I'll try to like edge it off a bit. Okay. But the thing is that everybody intrinsically knows Magic Man in Sky is real. And so what happens is one day after your accountability cherry pops, you start thinking, I think I would like to rebel against Magic Man in Sky. And then that thought leads to hormonal imbalances, which leads to gayness and transgenderism.
Oh, that does it.
That's what happens.
Okay.
It all started with your willful decision to be an evil person by rejecting Sky Daddy.
Inviting the demon into your hormonal regulation.
Right, because it throws off your entire system when you have spiritual illness. People don't realize that.
It does. Right.
So, you're welcome.
Here we go. Somebody who takes hormones. Okay, thank you. That was wonderful. Okay, let's see what this
is. And where this really hit me was they said, okay, let's take it to something less charged, something less controversial, anorexics. We've also had contagion, a social contagion with anorexia and bulimia since the advent of social media. We've known, and this is Abigail Shar, she did a study and she was on Jordan Peterson's show.
Yep.
And it's really great to hear professionals saying, we're trying to help people that are having psychological issues. So we're not going to be politically correct. We have to be responsible to care for our patients. And Jordan Peterson.
Okay, you don't have to be politically correct, but you don't have to go full retard like they're doing.
So
what they're about to do, because not being politically correct is using a movie meme like go full retard like I just did. You don't have to go after groups, which is what they're about to do. So anyway, go ahead.
I just want to ask Stephanie if shots had been fired. Like, was that aimed at me? Just so I know.
Ooh, what was this now? Did Stephanie say shots have been fired? Oh no!
I'm just asking.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure if there are shots fired from Stephanie, they're aimed directly at your head. So judging from,
I thought I felt something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. So
Peters is saying the American Psychological Association. They said they're threatening to de-license him for speaking his conscience.
Peterson.
And he said, I know this is terrible, and I can't say it to my clients without losing my license. I don't remember what the resolution of that was. It might have been, he said, go ahead and take it. I'm going to tell the truth. I would expect that from him. And so what Abigail Schreier pointed out, she said that, okay, when you have anorexics in a hospital ward, you try to keep them separated because they'll reinforce each other. So here it is, the girl starving to death. She's skinny thin. You can present her with scales. You can put her in front of the mirror, but she says, I'm fat.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's with another anorexic, it's just going to reinforce that.
And this is because of social contagion. That's the cause of anorexia. Is that?
I would have thought it was caused by worldlyism.
Yeah. So irreversible damage. Abigail Schreier. We got to look her up and see who the hell she is. Let's see. Who is this person? And it's like,
Thanks.
I mean, do you think that social contagion can cause dyslexia? Or not dyslexia, but anorexia? I mean, is that I don't think so. I think it's a little more involved than that.
Well, if it's spiritual social contagion, it causes all kinds of problems.
Oh yeah.
So,
okay, let's see who she is. Does she have a Wikipedia entry? Oh hell yeah, she does. Okay, irreversible damage. The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters is a 2020 book by Abigail Schreier. Irreversible, the Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. What the fucking fuck? Okay, that's who he's talking about. Anyway, but we'll go on.
That women are especially vulnerable to that sort of socialization of their.
Yes. Now we're getting into things that you really can't say, like that men and women don't react to the same things the same.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. So women are more vulnerable than men to social contagion. Okay.
Well, they're the weaker vessel, you know.
Do they have a
Bible
source for that? Yeah.
Bible says so.
Oh yeah. Listen.
Yeah. So, you know, even me as a guy, I'm kind of like, you know, I didn't, not that I had the greatest respect for Aaron Ra's intellect. Even then, I was getting a little affected. And I said, "Am I this clueless?" And then either that.
Oh, even a guy got upset, is what he's saying. When Aaron Ra came back at him, even me as a guy, I got a little upset. And it's like, you know, that's kind of a woman's quality, isn't it? It's not a guy thing. But even Sal got upset. So what is he?
He's to have a respect for his intellect because he comes across very confident. I think it's not so much that you think he's particularly intelligent or particularly well read. He's neither. It's more that he has a Dunning-Kruger level of confidence in his own opinions.
Except he's respected by other PhDs. I mean,
and he's got a degree now in biology.
Yeah, and people are, you know, PhDs actually admire him for his work.
Yeah. Yeah. And he comes across as confident. Some of those emails that Aaron Ra sent to Cindy Lincoln were quite involved, very well written, and really powerful. And it just went. And Sal says, "Oh, all my stuff went over Aaron Ra's head." Well, all of what Aaron Ra said went over Sal's head. Anyway, or Stillbrain, as I have now renamed him, Stillbrain Cordova.
And he pursues them aggressively. And if you're someone who is a little bit more intellectual and is actually trying to figure out what the truth is, someone like that can be very persuasive because they're unlike you, they are confident that they're right. And you know, normal intellectuals, people who are a little more intellectual, tend to be a little bit less confident that they're right, and they also tend to carry a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, what if I'm really stupid and everybody else around me is really smart? And this is not just applying to you, Sal. This is a general observation. Someone like Ra, who is belligerently confident in his views, can it sound very persuasive because the people who are a little more academic are like, well, I'm not really sure about what I think, but he sounds really sure, so maybe he's right.
Yes. So at a neurological level, that's what was happening. And so I looked at this and I said, no, I'm right. And so spending time with you and seeing other people saying this is just incredible. It's just like, yeah, me as an engineer, I could work, I could see it. And then, but then evolutionary biologists said, we're trying to fix you, Sal. I don't think you really understand. And it does get to you at some point. But on the other hand, I would dig in my heels and say, okay, if you're that confident, show me the numbers. Show me the math. I can do the math. Do you have any? Do you even?
And
Nope, he really can't.
he doesn't even know Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Yeah, and he didn't know what R4 was, and a number of other things he didn't know. Didn't know what a fucking identity matrix was. Claims to be a mathematician. Yes,
It's
he
not
could do
even-
calculus.
It's not even in any of his books.
And then that derivation he did of Maxwell's equations. I mean, it was too boring to follow. But what the fuck was he doing? He's trying to prove something about the magnetic field of the Earth, and it's like, and he goes through Maxwell's equations like that's going to get him there. Like this guy it's amazing how much he doesn't know about anything and how much he thinks he knows about it. Somehow he thinks he knows it better than anyone else. And I don't understand it, because he read one of Michael Lynch's papers the other day, and he read like the first page and he didn't understand even the fucking intent of the paper. And he went on this big tangent. And that's one of the things we're going to cover. But anyway, I want to listen to some more of this. We'll get back to Emory here.
And Matt's is here. Social contagion sounds a lot like lactose intolerance. It's like we're assuming men are the normal ones and females are behaving abnormally. Lactose intolerant people are genetically normal.
He has a point about the lactose intolerance. That's like, well, to an extent, because we're talking normal people. So yes, you're right. You're right. Those of us who can eat ice cream and love it, we're abnormal. I grant you that. But when I say social contagion, I'm not saying just applying that to women. I'm applying that to children as a general thing. Now, women tend to be a little bit more susceptible, maybe because women and men respond differently, and women tend to respond more emotionally, and men tend to respond more rationally. And there's nothing wrong with either.
There we go. Okay, so what in the fuck? Okay, we've heard this, right? Like all through the 50s and the 60s, we heard this bullshit about women are more emotional than men. Does anybody?
We'll take your word for that, Mike.
Does anybody believe this shit? Does anybody still believe this shit? That men are less emotional than women? That basically men in corporations, like if you've ever worked as a consultant and dealt with men as your managers, their dick, which is basically a man, most of their emotion ends up coming forth from the dick, is so fucking out of whack that it's almost impossible to work for them. And I worked for female managers, women managers, who were like sharks. I mean, they were absolutely completely clean and rational with no ego out front, not wearing a tie, which is basically wearing your dick on your chest. I don't know if you knew that or not, but the tie is a symbol of your dick on your chest.
I didn't know that, but now I want to go buy some fatter ties.
Yeah, if you wear a tie, like you want to wear a tie that's really long and wide and kind of like resembles your dick, because that's why men wear ties. That's where it came from. Basically, wow. It's sad, but if you look into the history of men's clothing, you'll find that the crotch and the tie sort of thing, and depictions of there's some kind of primate that basically looks like it has a dick and balls as a face, the males, right? And that's basically what men are doing with wearing a tie. That's why I will not wear a fucking tie, because I don't want it. I do not take my dick out in public. So anyway, but now tell me about this. Now, what is the current thinking about men are less emotional than women?
Well, one thing I want to bring into this discussion is something I did read in my Jonathan Haidt book. I can't remember the name of the title. I mean, I would if I wasn't on camera. But anyway, that Jonathan about moral psychology is that you really can't reason without emotion. If you take emotion, like delivering some damage to certain areas of the brain, out of a person's mental processes, they are frozen up in their ability to reach conclusions and things like that.
You can't make decisions without your limbic system.
Right.
Like, okay,
Right.
suppose you want to cross the street diagonally. You need to get to the diagonal corner.
Mm-hmm.
You can either go left or right. There are people with damage to their brain, particularly the limbic, something in the limbic system that pretty much eliminates emotion. And they will sit there for 15 minutes to try to decide whether to go left or right. They can't commit to anything. They can't make a decision because basically emotion is kind of the tiebreaker. Emotion and intuition is how we decide to react very rapidly, that sort of thing. And if we didn't have very, very good emotional systems, men, we would all be dead. And they're, women would be the surviving species. How does that work?
Right. Yeah, I made the same point earlier, even about value systems. Like, you can't make a values judgment without emotions because none of it's meaningful without emotions. Even justice, or compassion or love. I mean, these compassion, you can't compassion without love. You can't have love without love. These are emotions. You can't have an understanding of justice or give a damn about justice unless you have an emotional investment in the things that justice is meant to secure. So what do you got? And it just irritates me when far-right conservatives and stoics like to talk about how, you should reason completely without any emotions. And I'm like, I don't think it works that way, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that was, I think Emory goes on and becomes even more offensive, and his voice is so hard to listen to that I don't think we'll go on with that. But it's just all this bullshit. Well, yeah, I think there are some parts about where I think he talks about the woman's rightful place.
The response is just they're different and they balance each other. By the way, this is why marriage works, because men and women respond differently, so they balance each other. But
okay, pause it.
I say
what do we really say now? Does marriage work? Some marriages work.
Some marriages work. Yeah,
a lot of them don't. When you're given the freedom of choice in society to actually make decisions about your marriage, so that premise is just unfounded.
Yeah.
So
social contagion. What I'm saying is that children are very susceptible to the ideas of their peers. This is why the idea of peer pressure works. And if something is being portrayed as hip, cool, and it will get them positive attention, many of times they're not getting positive attention at home. Either they don't have.
Okay, tell me how many transgender people and how many LGBTQ people found that when they were honest about who they were, they got positive feedback about it. I mean, they got, all of a sudden they were put ahead of the class. They were elected, the class fucking leader, and they were, revered. Yeah, right. When does that happen? Where does that happen?
I don't know. I figured maybe after I became a dad, it started happening in the schools, because I didn't even know there were gay people around. In Arkansas.
All that's happened is it has become less. You're less likely to get beat up, teased, humiliated, and made fun of. That's all that's happened. It hasn't come to the point where there are awards being given out.
And let me add to that observation that one of the most entertaining things at our class reunions was finding out who was actually gay all along, but couldn't talk about it.
That was fun. Yeah.
There's some people go, I should have known. And others totally surprised me,
Yeah, my friend Kit, came out, and everybody was like, "Shit, yeah, okay, we get it now. Now we get you totally all the way back, right?" It was like,
yeah, but I was just so totally clueless.
yeah,
Because of upbringing. I mean, but because of the background culture, it just did not occur to me that any of my people that I encountered on a daily basis could be gay.
we didn't know what it was when I went to
Yeah,
school.
much less feeling that they're a woman in a man's body.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, let's see what else.
Have a
Asshole.
father in their lives, or maybe they don't even have parents at all.
Oh,
Our societal fabric is falling apart. If they're getting positive,
here's his other thing that basically, I think he says that they don't have fathers in their lives, right? Like all single women raising children, and that's the core problem in society. Society is falling apart because of this. If I could have gotten rid of my father, I would have been so much more comfortable at home. Because, I don't know. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, I don't know if he. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. So anyway, Andrew, where's Andrew?
he died. He bailed on us. Andrew, you did it
Andrew,
again.
you're the reason we started this thing, and you
Yeah.
were going to bring something, and I want to know what it is. And and you showed up late, so we had to fill time with something. So we did this.
That's right.
political
Come on
thing.
back in, Andrew.
Otherwise, we're going to open it up because I just opened up a whole lot of worm cans with this. But I mean, Jesus Christ, this is right in the middle of what's supposedly a biology discussion. Anyway. Anything else, James, on that? What do you?
About which thing?
Oh, fucking Emory Moyna and his bullshit fucking ultra-right ideas about the family and what's wrong with America.
I mean, they're welcome to start their own little country where they live that way and think that way. They just can't take any nukes with them when they go, that's all.
Texas and Florida.
Right.
Louisiana got to go. Louisiana got to go.
So, yeah, they want to form their own far south country. We'd probably be willing to break away from them. They just, like I said, they can't take any nukes with them when they go. Other than that, yeah, you can start your own country. We'll be cool with that.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of ours.
Yep. Nuking Texas would be interesting.
Sure.
The United States nukes Texas. I'd love to see that fucking headline.
Well, we probably wouldn't be calling it Texas anymore if they started their own country. We'd probably be calling it something like
the Republic of Texas or something
dumb
like that. They
fucking
call it
state.
Texarkana or some fucking thing. I don't know what the fuck they call it.
Right.
Texaca. The real make Texas great again.
America.
America. Yeah, America. Anyway, Andrew. So what's up, Andrew? Hello. What you doing?
I just got back from bowling, so that's pretty much why I'm late. Sorry about that.
How was your game?
Trying to think of it was okay. Yeah, it was an okay game. I'll just put it there.
Well, I was watching The Big Lebowski.
The who?
So, The Big Lebowski. So we were kind of on the same page. Oh my God, this kid doesn't know who The Big Lebowski is.
Nope.
So something happened to my Chrome, and so how was your game?
Oh, it was okay.
Oh, good.
We just found out that Andrew never watched The Big Lebowski.
Oh, you really need to watch The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, there's some things you got to do in order to qualify as being part of the Homo sapiens tribe, and one of them is watching Big Lebowski. So yeah,
I'm sorry I dropped out. Just like I was here, no one was saying anything, and you guys were watching something else. I didn't want to interrupt or anything.
Oh, you didn't hear us?
No, I could hear you. Just I didn't know if you saw me come in or not.
Oh, we did.
Oh.
I'm sorry, man. I should have acknowledged you right away, but somebody, not to be mentioned, was talking.
Yeah, I don't acknowledge people. I don't know.
Oh.
It's just not your thing. You're too shy.
I don't
Yeah,
see.
well, like I've said this before, it's just the way it works. If someone doesn't acknowledge me when I come in the room, then I don't say anything.
Yeah, I don't see live people. I only see dead people. So anyway, I'm sorry. It's something about the way my brain works. I don't see live people. So
I saw
You
you
see
guys
dead
already
people all the
started.
time?
I was surprised you started so early.
Go eat.
yeah, we had 10 waiting, so we felt a little bit obligated. And
Oh,
I've been
okay.
really
I'm
slacking.
sorry. I'm sorry, everyone.
I've been slacking on my YouTube stuff, but this is all Andrew Cummings' fault because
Yeah, pretty much.
like originally I wanted to do it at around noon, and he pushed me out to 6, and then he doesn't show up. And
Yeah,
okay,
this day's just been wacky.
there you go. Okay, Andrew. So did you have something you wanted to cover?
I was hoping you would, or otherwise I can try and think of something. I just kind of wanted to chat.
Oh, okay. Well, we have some Sal
Because
Cordova.
I know Sal did. Yeah, I saw you were reviewing something with Sal, and I know we did a debate recently. I didn't know if there were any good evolution bookmarks on that at all.
Oh, I think I got a few. Let me see.
Because you said this would be a biology discussion, right? Speed.
Yeah, I did. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to discuss is his reading of Michael Lynch's paper. And it was not really a reading because he didn't seem to, he had to look up the word nascent, for fuck's sake, let alone understand basically multimeric proteins. And God, Scott's having trouble.
I am. Let me try to put this out there real quick. There's going to be a discussion between Dr. Chris Thompson and Sal Cordova about genetic entropy.
Oh no.
Oh boy. When?
In 11 minutes.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
So I'm gonna put the link out there and in the private chat.
And where's this discussion going to be?
I'm putting the link out there. It's on Chris Thompson's channel.
On his channel. Okay. Private chat. Okay.
Man, the wackiness just keeps piling up today.
Well, at least Dr. Thompson is real. Has something I don't right now, which is a good way with words. He can he can express himself very well and very succinctly. So I think it'll be a fruitful discussion, and for the viewer, I think too many actually smart ideas will be rattling around in Sal's ears, but won't penetrate into the skull.
Yeah, I hope he goes after Sal a little bit, because what Sal does is when he's in the room with Dr. Dan or
He's a sycophant.
Or Dr. Chris Thompson, is he says, "Oh, okay, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'll have to think about that." And what he really means is, I'm going to have to reword my rhetoric to get around you and make you look bad. And he doesn't mean that he actually agrees with you, because he doesn't. It's just absolutely fucking maddening. And then what happens is Dr. Dan being a nice guy doesn't go after him, right?
Yeah.
And he should go after him. He should fucking go after him. Just like
if Dr. Dan went after Sal, it would probably be the destruction of.
Well, Dr. Dan would be blocked very shortly. He wouldn't. In fact, anybody
it would still put a significant dent on his credibility that he has right now.
Right.
Probably. Like you said, this Dr. Dan isn't that kind of person. Anybody
that goes after Sal and digs him down into the details of his bullshit will get blocked by Sal.
See, this is why I wish Jesus would return, because then we can have a betting pool on how long it takes Jesus to get blocked by Sal.
Not very long, I'll bet you.
Oh, I'm guessing about 10 minutes, because he'd come down and he'd rip Sal a new one for some of the shit he said on his channel.
Didn't Jesus spend a good portion of his time with some dude resting on his breast, resting his head on his breast, or did Jesus rest on his beloved disciples' breast? I can't remember which one, but he got awfully close.
So Peter, but yeah, they spent an awful lot of time oiling each other up, nuzzling each other's bosoms, right? Talking about Jesus's unresolved daddy issues. So, it's a thing. The gayness wasn't a big deal back then. Jennifer Bird on Myth Vision just had a big.
Yeah. She
Couple hours
reminded me
ago.
of that reality, and they're the ones who take John seriously as a eyewitness account of contemporary Jesus. So I don't know what they make of it, and so if dudes started reclining on each other's chests at dinner, would they think that was gay or effeminate, which to them is a bad thing? Or would they say, oh, they're just being like Jesus, which is the goal of Christians anyway? So,
right. I mean, every time some dude nuzzles my bosom, I tell him this looks a little bit gay.
Yeah.
And I say, did I tell you to stop?
You might get kicked out of church, but I'm just telling you.
I mean, I like the old Native American indigenous people's way of looking at it, the people of two souls or two spirits, right? The bisexual people, like, were considered like an honorary spiritually ascended person. Like, it was amazing to be bisexual in a lot of the Indian nations.
Well, even I remember seeing a documentary about men who got work in California. From they would travel from the South into California for months or years at a time, away from their families, and the men would form little couples, and that you have pictures of them, with their arms around each other, getting a picture made, and being very much more intimate than you would probably see today or interpret photos as of today. So,
I mean, yeah, it ain't gonna muzzle itself.
Yeah. So, it's just weird. Things are not as black and white as our fundy friends try to paint history as.
Right.
There's a lot of fluidity to things, and a lot of different attitudes towards masculinity, even within a primarily, Christian literalist kind of society.
Right. And I mean, I've got my own theories about what the future is going to look like if humanity survives long enough. I think the paradigm's going to shift, and it's not even because all the stereotypes that are about gender is like, these are the man traits and these are the woman traits. Like, I went and read those, and I'm like, holy shit, I've got all the traits on both sides, and my most pronounced traits are a mix of each. Like, I don't favor one or the other. Does that make me bisexual? Does that make me androgynous? No. I'm just a person, and it's like the whole gender stereotype thing is just complete bullshit. And here in another 100 years, humanity will be laughing at the idea that we ever held the gender stereotypes about what counts as a guy and what counts as a woman in terms of your personality traits, right? Like, the essence of who you are. They're going to recognize that it's just all a bunch of mix and match, choose your own adventure, your style develops to be how it is, your energy or your vibe or whatever, and they're just not going to make those kinds of distinctions anymore. And it's just, honestly, religious fundamentalists and ultra conservatives are just holding us back, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, I in 1974, I was 24 years old, and I took the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, MMPI. It's a real common test they give to you when you go into alcoholic treatment or a mental institution or whatever. And anyway, they came back and they told my wife and I that I had decidedly feminine characteristics. And being 1974 and me being 24 years old and coming from the Iron Range, northern Minnesota, that really kind of fucked me up because at that time I did not recognize what they were talking about. And it turns out what they were talking about would have applied to my father, who was a real man's man just as well as me. And it turns out to be those things that I'm most proud about myself, basically my old feminine characteristics. And why at that time they divided it into male and female characteristics when they had a lot of females with male characteristics. And and they told me, a heterosexual male, that I had feminine characteristics, it should have occurred to them that these are not male and female characteristics. These are human characteristics on a fucking spectrum,
Mhm.
and everybody's going to be a little bit different, right?
Yep.
But that is what they did. At that time, it was, there was just all this shaming, if a male showed any feminine traits and a female showed any masculine traits. And it was just all fucked up. And we've gotten so much better. And these motherfuckers want to take us back to ground zero again, That's what they want. They want that thing from the 1950s, that bullshit that I lived through.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense from a scientific perspective because the conservative mind fears change, right? And so whatever they're used to, that's what we need to stick with. Now, if you take somebody with a conservative mind, and there actually is a physical brain structure that's different for conservative versus liberal minds. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Someone needs me.
Oh no. So right in the middle of a thought, I was gonna try to segue into biology. How do we segue into biology? I would have been so much better, Andrew, earlier in the day because I woke up and stormed this paper, this wonderful paper. And it was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck.
Well,
yeah,
I pose a
understand.
segue here.
Okay.
Or, sorry, what?
I understand that you're in a different time zone, number one, so you're 2 hours different, but you also have a very different metabolism and schedule. You probably get up late.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just the opposite, and this is killing me. It's killing me not doing like if I'm going to do good YouTube content, I have got to do it in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of stuck with that. And then when we have get-togethers, we can do it later on, but I'm not going to be able to contribute well to it.
Yeah.
As well as I could in the morning. So I've got to be able to figure this out. But this paper right here, basically on protein complexity, and there's an entire theme here between the last 4 or 5 videos that Sal did. Now he thinks he's going to be a professional. He's going to be a specialist on basically multimeric proteins that stick to other proteins. And he really thinks he has something like absolutely impossible for this to evolve. And this whole paper is about how simple it is. Simple mechanism, evolution of protein complexity, right? And this paper is linked in the Michael Lynch paper, or no, wait a minute. This person, I think. Anyway, I found this person through the Michael Lynch paper that he's reading on this video that I had up a little while ago, where he's wearing this bizarre orange hunting suit. Let's see. Yeah, this one is 2022, but Pillai and a bunch of other people are working on this this protein complexity, and they're working on neutral evolution that is very rapid, not gradual evolution that is selected at every point. One of the really astounding. Well, anyway, you had a segue. Let me know. What is it?
Oh, I was just gonna talk about kind of you guys were mentioning some of the social or more social issues there, and so I was watching something yesterday, kind of a documentary about creationism in America, and it really struck me, some of the interviews, and I don't know if this is still true now. It probably is, but like the idea that that we are part of a grander scheme of things, that we are a branch on the tree of life, basically, and that we're not as special as we used to think, and that idea is very offensive to some people. And it really struck me how kind of, I don't know, just how arrogant it seemed to think that we're anything more than what it seems we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that really kind of struck me yesterday, how all throughout history, even, or the history of science up until now, we used to think we were special, that we were either created separate from all the animals or it had distinct characteristics, and now more and more, or like Gutsy Gibbon could probably comment on this, like how lots of other animals have traits that we used to think were diagnostic of human beings, right? So
Yeah. My son and I were talking about something today, and he brought up the bullshit that basically I grew up with, that animals couldn't have emotions, and that they were very, very different than us. And anybody that's lived with a dog for any period of time knows absolutely that this isn't true.
right.
And the difference between us and, like, the things that drive us are the same things that drive cats and dogs and raccoons and whatever. And it's absolutely amazing how similar we are to other mammals.
Right.
If anything, I think one of the differences in Homo sapiens, basically, and I'm not sure where it happened in the branch as we evolved, but one of the significant things I think is that we started to eliminate a lot of the differences in gender in our species. Basically, we have blurred gender in our species. Men are just as much child rearers as women.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, and that isn't true in a lot of other primates, right? There's more sexual dimorphism, and this is Gutsy Gibbon's specialty. So
Right.
I'd love to have her in to talk about this sometime. But anyway, I have this sort of half-assed theory that one of the things that allowed us to become tight social groups is that males took on a lot of characteristics of child nurturing female mammals. And
that's an interesting idea.
That's what we're dealing with, and that's what we need to accept as our reality. And if we accept that, we're going to get along a whole lot better with all the different kinds of human beings in the world. The entire spectrum. So I invited Bree.
Good old Bree.
And I suppose
everybody loves Bree.
Yeah, we should just about open it up, I think, because I don't know if
I didn't have too much to I have some random things I can talk about, but like I don't know if it's gonna bore people in the audience or anything. So I
wanted to run every time you hit that start button for a live stream.
I wanted to talk about these multimeric proteins and this paper, but I think I'm gonna save that for another broadcast in the morning.
Okay.
So probably won't get any further. And then I've got a whole lot of stuff on Cordova here, basically.
Cordova.
Oh yes, Leo. Shout out to Leo. He hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'm sad because I'm probably going to be busy Wednesday, so I can't join him in the open discussion. That made me sad.
Oh,
sorry,
Leo.
I'll have to go on.
Congratulations.
It's a bittersweet time, Andrew.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Congratulations, Leo.
Yep. Congratulations.
Someday I'm going to hit 600 subscribers. Someday. I'm 2 away. 2 away from it.
2 away? Oh, nice.
Yeah. But 1,000, I think that's going to happen in about 5 years. I don't know. Anyway, God, I have been on a journey lately. And it's, I only talk about some aspects of it, but basically I think I am changing. And I kind of like it.
So, are you wearing pretty dresses?
Well,
we're okay with that.
I'm wearing prettier blue jeans. Okay.
That's something. It's something.
Well,
that wasn't a question.
He is at that age where a nice muumuu is acceptable.
Yeah. Well, I had to retire my other faded, worn-out jeans because my gun poked a hole in my gun pocket, so I had to put on a newer pair of blue jeans. So that's changed. So that's one change I made, because I can't have my gun barrel sticking out of my pant leg, right?
Depends on where you're at, but some societies frown upon it.
It kind of violates the whole concealed carry thing. But it is kind of nice because you just got tip it forward, and you already got a hole in your pants. So what the fuck,
Yeah.
Would you mind?
Hey, Bree.
Hey.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Hi. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great. It's great
Doing
to
pretty
see you.
good.
Oh,
keeping speaker. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Sal said he's going to poke holes in the evolution theory. Where? Okay, where did he say that? And did he say anything else other than that? Because I'm interested what he means. Or well, I guess that's what he has been doing up until now.
Usually what poking a hole means is he has a misconception about evolutionary theory, and so he's going to say that misconception of his is wrong, and therefore young Earth creationism is true.
Yeah. I'm probably just overly optimistic that he's finally going to say something new and original.
I just become a rage bunny when I hear this, because I know I have clips where he's saying this stupid shit about molecular evolution, right? That it's impossible. And then it's not just that stupid shit that he says. What is stupider is dumber is that he says all the evolutionists are not critical thinkers, and none of them have ever thought about any of these things like protein orchards, and none of them have ever worked out the probability of things. And the reason that they haven't worked out the probability of things evolving like the creationists have is because we don't have the information that would give us a figure for P that would tell us how probable each step is. So that's why it's stupid to sit down and work out the probability on the back of an envelope like they do. Like if you got a 1,000 amino acid protein, there'll be basically fucking 20 to the 1,000th power probability. 1 over 20 to the 1,000th is what they worked out. And that isn't how you fucking do it, because that isn't what happened. It didn't just pop into existence out of the blue. It's like, oh my God, I'm turning into a rage bunny.
A rage bunny?
Rage bunny, yeah. A rage bunny is kind of like a little bit better, because it is a bunny. Right? But it's an enraged bunny. So
it's a little enraged, but
it's better than a raged hare, basically.
Yeah, I'm being gentle. I'm being gentle with myself. I'm a rage bunny. I'm not a
rage bunny.
It's like a Cadbury Easter bunny, except the Easter eggs are red hots.
Yeah, so I'm not like a raging bull.
You're talking about changing. Are you changing into a more rage-filled person? I hope not.
No, actually, the other way, kind of.
Going more mellow.
Feeling more mellow. Yeah, feeling more like listening to music. And, listen to my playlist that I never thought I'd get around to listening to, and I'm actually listening to it and doing shit. Just doing shit in life.
So,
that's a great change. I've been meaning to start doing shit. It's on my list.
Yeah, doing shit's good.
If you're being more active and are you flexing your brain?
Brain and body.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Around.
That's super important, right?
Yeah.
At your age.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up getting if you got a door that you haven't opened in 20 years, when you open it, it squeaks. So if you keep opening the door, it doesn't squeak, and when you're old, you will start to squeak if you don't stay active.
Well, it's like they say, the brain's pretty much another kind of muscle. You gotta flex it, or else it's gonna dry up.
So, do any of you guys watch Ralph? His Fortnite thing.
Did we miss that?
Yeah, it was today, wasn't it? Or was it
I was actually number 4 on the.
Damn, I need to watch that. I missed it. I'm so sad, but I didn't get up till close to 1 o'clock, Central Standard, so I would have missed it anyway.
So, Bree, you were going on about what are they, machine elves? Is that?
That was the DMT thing. Yeah, the other morning.
Yeah, and that is so fucking stupid, because, okay, when you take psychedelics, first of all, you got to try an experiment. Close your eyes and press your eye, press hard on your eyes, and you will see lights. So, these are called phosphenes. Basically, they're from pressure on your pressure in your eyes, or from your blood vessels in your eye. They're from all sorts of misfirings of your eye. So you will see something called phosphenes. And when you take psychedelics, what happens with psychedelics is you see the phosphine, you can't filter the phosphenes out. and then you apply a massive pareidolia to these phosphenes, and you start to see dancing patterns. And now, if you look at Dennis, not Dennis, but the other McKenna's, what the hell's his name?
Terrence McKenna.
Terrence McKenna's video on Machine Elves, or it may have been Dennis. I think Dennis might be his son. I'm not sure. But if you look at his video on Machine Elves, you see what these phosphenes look like when you're on a high dose of psychedelics, right? And when you close your eyes, you can just like get into this world, and they start to dance. Like one of the things I came up with was not random noodles, because I saw these beautiful noodles that were just wonderfully, intricately patterned, and they were just absolutely perfect. They were not random noodles. They were beautiful Mandela noodles, right? And you can see these things, and you can actually, and then if you listen to music, you can end up creating an entire Disney animation in your brain. Well, Terrence McKenna and all these DMT fucks, basically they noticed that they were elves, and then they started thinking that they were elves, and then they started seeing elves, and then they started seeing them evolve. And then they came out of it and they said, oh, I just took a massive dose of a mind-altering drug, and I saw something, hallucinated something, and I decided that is a real other part of the universe that I've
and I'm going to use the information I got from these entities to make my life better. That's
right. Yeah. Like they're going to talk to me, right? Okay. If things are inside your head telling you what to do, you got to ask it questions. You don't just accept it.
I'm just preparing you because Jordan Peterson released a video about him, so it's going to be.
I saw a little bit of that, but he was kind of pushing back on it and saying it was more built into our brain, wasn't it? Was he actually saying that they were real?
The impression I got was he was the one wanting to present it as real, and that McKenna that he was sitting at, Dennis McKenna that he was sitting with, was trying to ground it. That was the impression that I got, but maybe I was being biased against Peterson too while I watched it. That's a real possibility because I hate that fucking guy.
Yeah.
Which guy?
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I can't stand him either.
Yeah, there's two people that I would add that adjective on about how much I hated him, but Jordan Peterson's one of them.
He gets worse every year too.
He's not mentally well. Okay, he's not a well person.
Nope.
And you kind of feel sorry for him when you actually listen to him spin on and go on and you hate him because he's arrogant as well as being a little bit mentally ill.
Yes.
The man is, and it's amazing that these mentally ill people like Donald Trump and Jordan Peterson become fucking icons, for the
right.
Like, what the fuck?
I know. Sometimes it makes you wonder if I'm just not mentally ill enough.
Yeah, maybe not.
That's the problem with my life.
Yeah.
How well did that work for him on Tuesday during elections?
Yeah.
It didn't work very well for him, did it?
Unless you're in Florida. Florida kind of cleaned up, but.
They had a red wave in Florida, but the rest of it was like a pink dribble.
Yeah, then the red wave was followed by a real hurricane. So
yeah.
Back around to climate change. Let's ignore it though.
Pink dribble is the least wanted thing when you're in front of the toilet.
The red dribble, ew.
Pink dribble.
Sometimes red dribble's a relief though. It depends on the situation.
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
On another note.
Oh, go ahead. Oh no, I was going to talk about snack, but it's like a fucking parent talking about his kids. Okay? I'm not going to do it to you. Go ahead.
So maybe we could bring Leo in for this if you want, but I think this might be a bold claim, but I think I finally found someone who appears to be at least a young Earth creationist, I think, who appears to be intellectually honest in terms of astronomy.
Ooh.
Or is very close to it as far as I can tell. This might, maybe haven't watched enough of them, but from Answers in Genesis, I think, Dr. Danny Faulkner, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Faulkner.
You can have to spell it for me. Put it in private chat so I can link it.
Okay. I think this is how you spell his name.
Well, if he's honest about what cosmology, then how's it getting along with the other people at AIG? Like, how's that going to work?
Like he's talking with Jason Lyle, for example, and it doesn't seem like there's too much commotion over there. Like, well, we did a thing over this a while back, Speed, about the whole Big Bang is wrong and all
Right.
that. And they still seem to be kind of, or at least from the videos I watched, kind of still in that position a little bit. But they're also this guy, this actual astronomer, as I think, is saying, yeah, there he is. Is basically saying, or was actually, like, when someone was mentioning, oh, the distances of these galaxies that we're finding from the James Webb Space Telescope, for example, and how they're in conflict with our current understanding of cosmology, that Dr. Faulkner was like, well, the redshifts are a little up in the air still, and we need to get better measurements. And I was actually kind of surprised when he said that. And
Is
some
that
other
an actual
like,
quote?
Hmm?
Is that an actual quote? He just like
he said it in, I'm trying to remember the video. It was something he did with maybe it was a video he did with Dr. Jason Lyle, but it was like I was surprised when he said that, because basically he, like, it's weird to describe, because I know it at some point he's disagreeing with the whole standard cosmology right now, because I've seen him disagree with it in the past, but he's also saying stuff that's like should be said more often, if that makes sense. Like, or like,
Yeah,
it's hard to describe, but like when he said it, it really surprised me, because I was like, oh, he's actually kind of being a little intellectually honest about this, and that was a surprise, because all the YouTube creationists we know online right now, like, they're not admitting all this stuff. They're like, oh, Big Bang is wrong, evolution is wrong, yada yada yada.
Oh my goodness, this kind of stuff is too like his story, right? Is and it's clipped, unfortunately. I suppose I could try to adjust it.
Yeah.
But the fuck. His story, basically, he was born again at the age 6. Come on, dude. 6?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I suppose Nerdy Rodent, it might be right here. Even a stopped creationist can be right twice a day. Yeah, that might be the case.
Oh, that
Oh
is
my gosh, Nerdy.
that is beautiful. Beautiful. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I see the problem. Okay. Anyway, I got that fixed. So, but look at his story. So after age 6, he began to drift away from the faith for much of the next 9 years. That puts him at 15. So he went to college. Like, these people are indoctrinated at a very early age. His father was a pastor. And if all of your adults around you, your entire reality, if they all believe in this bullshit, like if they all believed in Santa Claus, I mean, really seriously believed in Santa Claus, you would spend your entire life with this background of belief in Santa Claus, and you'd interpret everything according to that. Yeah. And you'd be fighting for the great, that, yeah, there actually is a place in the North Pole, and you just can't see it because, it's divine hiddenness and, all of that bullshit, and it's like,
I always thought Santa Claus was divine hiddenness anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
Christmas
the same
magic, but
it's as reasonable to believe Christianity. But when you're immersed in it, like like the frog in the pot of boiling water, right?
Uh-huh.
If you're immersed in it and it slowly warmed the water up, I mean, that was your reality. It just colors everything you believe. And how in the hell did it get to be 2022 and we still believe in fucking Santa Claus? How did this happen? I mean, I'm a lifelong atheist, so I have not experienced that being immersed in it, and I don't think you have either, Andrew. Right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
As-
Did Scott have to dip?
Apparently,
Did
What's that?
Scott dip?
Yeah,
he
he's
was having
having
some trouble with his connection.
Oh,
connection problems, so he's going to stay in chat. So
okay.
anyway,
Sorry.
Apparently, Captive Desk says he has something from a video we just posted that says otherwise to my claim about this guy. So,
okay.
did he post a link, or I'm interested in seeing that?
I put a link.
I
I put a link in the private chat to this video that he just did. Intro video.
One where he finds God?
Do
Is he
do I have the right
demonstrating it
one?
or what?
Wait, who found God?
What are we doing? Yeah, that's what.
Sure. Captive Desk put a video out, and it's a real short introduction.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
it's
I think he
an
just
intro
posted
video.
it
He said-
again in the side
He sent
chat.
it to me in Facebook Messenger, so I already
Oh
watched
shit!
it.
It's the wrong video. Okay, so I
Yeah,
got
I think
another
he just
video.
posted it again.
There's the one. I think he just put it in the chat.
Okay, here we go. So I will put a link to the. How long
Do you
is
have
this?
a timestamp, Dave?
5 hours.
Oh my, yeah. Please have a timestamp or a time where he talks about what he wants to talk about.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Fisher's fundamental theorem of natural selection?
Oh yeah. I want to talk about Goodell's incompleteness theory.
Oh, you're gonna cause some reactions here. I don't got that in any of my books. We can go through them if you want to see.
It's not in the Bible either.
Mm-mm.
Okay, he says go to the end. It's peer reviewed. I'm not sure what he
What?
means exactly.
Go to the end?
I guess so.
Look at that. What is that? Is that a walrus?
Oh, look, there's Hugh Ross. I recognize him.
Go to the end. It's peer reviewed. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't
How
know.
can a video be peer reviewed? Are you
Yeah,
messing with
yeah.
us? There's got to be a
He's
good
messing
answer.
with us, man. He's messing with us.
Is this really 5 hours long?
Yeah, I think it is.
You'd be surprised how long you can keep misinformation going.
Must do a really good job.
Sentinel
18
apologetics.
astronomers peer reviewed Danny's presentation.
Yeah, I never trust anybody that streams
Oh my
5
God.
hours, unless they're me.
So 18 Christian astronomers peer reviewed it.
Oh,
Okay, well, I could do it this way. Is there a transcript? No, there's no transcript because it's too long. Long.
that's okay. I'll just say I'm probably some reason for suspicion, but I'm just saying that what he said in that video I can't remember offhand. Well, that's a poor citation on my part.
Well, it's always such a goddamn surprise when one of them says something honest.
Yeah,
about
because it's so rare at this point.
Yeah,
I guess that's the funny thing about it.
Yeah, it's always wonderful.
I guess that shouldn't be really surprising.
I put that in the description of this video. So
Okay.
we will all give it a roll. But 5 hours, I'm not sure if I have that kind of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I got so much Cordova to cover because I'm stalking Sal.
Yeah.
Sal Stucker.
He's afraid for his life.
Oh, he's also talking about the protein orchard with some guy that's on his chat and comments called what the fuck is it called? Grinch Lynchpin. And Grinch Lynchpin is apparently a molecular biologist and evolutionist, and there are some really rich exchanges between those two. So
Ooh, I'd like to see that.
it's also something we have to cover. Yeah. The Grinch Lynchpin saga. So, in fact, he did a whole video on Grinch Lynchpin, and he was supposed to explain the protein orchard, and he didn't. He he was supposed to explain why he had a problem with the protein orchard, why the protein orchard is a problem for evolution. Okay. And what he ends up saying instead is that complex proteins are a problem for evolution. It has nothing to do with whether the proteins had a common ancestor. And It's just maddening, and we've got to do some Cordova content. We've got to do it. Bree, I see you over there in the chat room. Apparently, Cordova likes you.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wish we could comment on it, but we're both banned.
Right, we're all banned.
Oh, yeah. Sal likes me. You want me to pull it up?
What's that?
Were you wanting to see what he's got going on over there right now?
Oh, does he have something going on right now?
I thought that someone said he had something like the debate started.
Oh,
Isn't he
no,
debating Chris Thompson?
Chris Thompson. Hang on a second here. I'll find Chris.
I mean, are we allowed to snipe the stream here?
I don't think he would mind if we snipe gently.
Okay.
Okay, where's
You say so.
Dr. Chris Thompson? We're not going to snipe the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it's on genetic entropy, so I'm actually kind of curious what they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have Dr. Chris Thompson. God damn.
It's not on evidence and reason, though.
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Did Scott post it? Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, Scott posted it, so it's right here. So,
yeah, but
well, let's just snipe a little
function
bit.
as molecular matchmakers,
Oh,
connecting ribosomes that are synthesizing
somebody's
proteins.
is Sal playing a video? Sal likes to play these videos
and
while
Speed, you got to understand. I have to play nice with the creationist that'll actually interact with me. It's just kind of the long and short of it. I have to, because I don't have as many as I did because a lot of them won't talk to me now.
Yeah, I kind of forgot to do that myself. I kind of forgot to play nice.
That's kind of the perk of the job, so to speak, given enough time.
I hear something in the background. Is it me?
Am I echoing?
I'm not sure who's echoing.
Echo.
Try muting yourself and I'll talk and say something. Is it still echoing for everyone in the audience?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop. Whoop.
I'm echoing.
I don't know.
I'm echoing.
Always use speed.
I'm going to try to leave and come back.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
What's the name of the completeness theorem?
Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Gödel's. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not in the Bible.
It might be pronounced a different. Huh?
It's not in the Bible, though?
No.
Why didn't they put it in the Bible?
I'm back.
That's a good question.
We need to understand why.
What's in the Bible?
Gödel's incompleteness theorem?
Oh, yeah, I don't know why. I missed that one.
It's,
one of the mysteries he wanted us to figure out ourselves by looking at the trees. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mispronounced it. Gordel? I didn't know it was pronounced Gordel.
Gordel? It's Gödel.
Did we give a link to Leo?
Gödel. They haven't given a link to Leo.
Leo's out there saying Gordel.
Gordel.
Congratulations, Leo. I know I posted it on Facebook, or not on Facebook, but on Twitter and on YouTube. But I want to say it again. Congratulations on the 1,000, because you won't celebrate it properly. So I'm going to celebrate it properly for you. Woo!
Yeah, come in so we can celebrate your thing here. Or, I don't know, talk about something.
Yeah, come in, Leo.
Godel.
Godel.
Oh, is that Google?
Yeah, well, that was
Google pronunciation.
Where's Emma says?
Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Okay, Isabel was saying Gödel. Is it Gödel's theorem? Well, everybody else says Gödel. So everybody that like my professor did. Okay. Come on.
Gödel.
Maybe I can try and
Gödel.
69 videos and 1,000 subscribers, my man, right there.
I don't know. Who knows? Anyway.
We had 69 videos. Wow.
69 videos. I have a lot more videos than that, but I stream a lot. I'm always doing
Hey, Leo, would you like to come in and share your thoughts on the whole dark matter Mond issue? I know you were kind of commenting on that the other day, kind of briefly.
Let me
Goodle?
put the link. Let me put the
Monkey
link.
for Bananas making a case for it being Goodles. 'Cause
Goodle?
He
I
says,
mean, people can pronounce everything a
because
different
he
way.
says it's got a.
Godel?
That's not an umlaut. What is that above the O? The two dots.
Godel. The umlaut. How do you pronounce that? Huh? Oh,
Umlaut. Umlaut's the line. That's the flat line.
yeah, but how do you
Makes the-
pronounce it?
Umlaut.
No. How do you pronounce the O with the?
Oh, when there's an umlaut over it, it's a hard O. It's like O. Says its name.
Godel.
Hey, Nestlig.
Penis.
Godel. I put a link out in chat there, Leo. I'm probably
You're
gonna
trying to say something, Nestlig. You're muted.
Hey, Leo.
Hello.
Superstar.
I may be intermittently in and out. I'll just let
Okay.
you get to that.
Okay.
I might be meeting Leo in person.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I forgot to add Leo to the stream. Now Leo's in the stream.
Down there.
Leo. Hi, Leo.
He's not talking though.
No,
You're both
he-
muted. If you guys are trying
Hold
to talk,
on,
you're both muted.
I need to make
Okay.
sure that I share the audio. Share tab audio. Okay.
Are you talking into a tin can, Leo?
You sound a little muffled.
Is your headset flipped up?
You guys
Hi,
hearing
man.
that?
Yeah.
You sound clear and smooth.
No, I'm not me. Are you guys hearing the thing that I'm playing?
No.
Well,
No.
that's because it's not being shared. It was being shared and now it's not.
Oh.
There we go. Okay.
Kurt Gödel. Kurt Gödel.
Hmm.
Kurt Gödel.
Goodle.
Yeah, no, Gödel. Kurt Gödel. Gödel's incompleteness theorems. No, not a hard R. It's a subtle R. Kurt
rolling one.
Gödel. Kurt Gödel.
Goodle.
Not Goldel, not Girdle, in between the two. It's a soft R.
Not on this channel, Leo. No, we're not doing it like that.
Kurt Gödel.
For button.
Speed will only have hard R's in his
It's
live
good.
streams.
Goodell.
Hey, Nestlig. Sorry, I didn't know you were getting
Well,
it.
Goodell is not how it's pronounced.
That's how my professor pronounced
Girdles.
it. So my
Yeah,
professor-
and there's a lot of physics professors that say Max Planck, and they're pronouncing it wrong. It's Max
Wow.
Planck.
Yeah, nobody wants to say plonk. I mean, plonk is what happens in the morning when you go to the bathroom.
Well,
It's
I
a
mean,
hard
to be fair,
R.
everyone says Albert Einstein, and
It's
is often
Albert
pronounced
Einstein.
Albert Einstein, yeah,
Einstein.
because it's German.
Yeah, don't say his first name like Olbert.
Frankenstein.
Olbert.
Like I said, people pronounce it in so many different ways.
Yeah,
You know,
they do.
it's interesting the things we give a fuck about.
Well, I'm autistic, so it's really not a surprise with me when you think about it.
You give
You
a,
are?
that
I
mean-
didn't
does
know
that
that.
mean you give a fuck about everything?
No, I just like nuance. I like technicality. And I think that certain
Yeah.
pedantic features are important. And
So
I do
you're-
maintain that pronouncing words, particularly when they're proper nouns, the right way is important. We shouldn't be saying Max Planck. We should be saying Max Planck. We shouldn't be
So-
saying Kurt Gödel. We should be saying Kurt Gödel.
Okay, there's another word for that other than autistic. It's called pain in the ass.
No.
Sucks to suck.
Pain in the butt.
Before we
Anyway.
get into another conversation, did you want to say anything, Nestlig?
Oh no, I was just saying that I was getting water
Oh,
a
okay.
minute ago.
So
You want to say
there is-
anything? Dale?
there is a species of cockroach that they thought was extinct that they just found alive after 80 years.
That's really fucking cool. Like God, life just fucking impresses me every single day. I swear to God. Except human life. That does not impress me. I'm
That
sorry.
disappoints you every
one,
day.
yeah, that one's disappointing, if anything.
Well, on the same islands, they found the stick insect still alive after
Ooh.
after 80 years. Giant stick insects too. They're really cool looking, and they actually found them on this little rocky outcrop, like 80 miles from the mainland, because there was this shipwreck in, I think it was like 1912 on the island, and the rats got onto the island and just decimated the insect population. This island had 1,600 species of native insects. I think half of them are indigenous. So, yeah, there you are. That's the article right there. And I did a good video on this, not this last Halloween, but the Halloween before, about the stick insects, because they actually found them on this little rocky outcrop, this little stone that's like 42 miles away from the mainland, and they were able to restore the population. There's thousands of them now with human intervention, but they had to exterminate the rats on the island too, so it's kind of But the rats weren't just decimating insects either. There were birds. There was a wood hen that was native and indigenous to the island and endemic, which means it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It was highly threatened and whittled down to just a handful of breeding pairs before they had serious intervention to restore that population as well.
And this actually kind of really makes me impressed even more so about taxonomy in general, because like that doesn't typically look like, or that doesn't look like what we typically think about as the cockroach. And yet I bet if you were to go under the skin exoskeleton, so to speak, you would see all these diagnostic traits that would say, yes, it is a cockroach. So
absolutely. And cockroaches are not like the pests. Not the entirety of them are not the pest species.
Right.
That, you know, invade your home. There's only, but there's Turkish cockroach, Oriental cockroach, and the American and German cockroaches. Those are the four that can become pest species.
And then there's little cockroaches. You can't forget about little cockroaches.
You got to say cockroach. You got to put an A.
Yeah, that's what I said. Little cockroaches.
Yeah. So, but most roaches are like forest creep. They're like the working class night shift forest crew that
working on the night shift, baby.
Have you ever looked at how jumping spider eyes work, Bree?
Yeah, with the little crosshairs that they have in their built into their eyes.
I watched the video on it. It was actually more interesting than I thought, because they kind of have like telescopes for the front two eyes, and then kind of 360-degree vision around for the rest of the eyes. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for spiders they have fantastic eyes, because arachnids missed out on the compound eye option, so they gave those up before they crawled out of the ocean, from what I recall. They just
that's such an interesting thing. Why would the designer not give them compound eyes when they work so well for
because he works in mysterious ways and he has reasons we're not privy to. But that totally doesn't entail that he would deceive us in any other areas at all. Nope, not even remotely. Global skepticism is not at all entailed by that. And it's totally not the case that Jack Engstrike tripped up Matt Adams on that very point.
Get him, Leo.
Get him.
We went from cockroaches to Jack Engstrike in like 2 sentences. It was amazing.
So how are you doing, Leo? Anything new in the physics side of things?
Unfortunately, no. Actually, wait. There was a paper I saw. I didn't read it. That had something to do with, I think, like inflation or something like that. Something to do with inflation and a new. I'd have to go back to Twitter. In fact, I'm going to do that because I'm curious. There was some like constraint.
Inflation
piqued my interest.
I don't really care about economic inflation, if I'm being completely honest.
Not that kind of inflation.
Alrighty, here we go. And scrolling down.
Are you still around speed? Do you want to share your screen, Leo?
Scrolling down. I think I went too far.
Uh-oh.
Did I go too far? I guess we'll find out.
You've already gone too far, Leo.
I think I went too far.
Speed. Oh, he said he'd be out in and out, didn't he?
Okay, wait. No.
I got a question for the panel here. Do you guys think that we will find evidence of basal or what's the word I'm looking for? Analogous life forms on Mars?
Depends. Analogous to what?
To life on
Yeah.
Earth, to early life on Earth.
On specifically Mars.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I don't have an opinion on that. I wouldn't be surprised if we did, but I can't say that it's a thing that will happen.
And I'm saying on a fossil level, not just that we have to find it alive, but I mean, like we could find traces.
I think that's certainly possible, or at least maybe like traces of microscopic life. But yeah,
because we know that there was liquid water, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It might have made the early prokaryote stage, but didn't last very long. Didn't get very far.
Yeah.
So.
Well, do you think they would have went through the same stages based on the? I mean, we don't know much. What do we know about the chemical composition of Mars, though? Really?
Yeah, we don't know about the early composition.
Yeah,
it's
like the atmosphere. I mean, we barely. No, Mars doesn't have much of an atmosphere now, right?
Not now. It did. If we were to go back 3.5 billion years and look at the solar system, you would have seen two Earth-like planets. Earth and then another smaller Earth further out. That was Mars. Mars had water on its surface. It had land. And I don't know. Obviously, nobody knows if it did or did not have life, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to find that it did.
What do we know about the atmospheric composition of when it did have an atmosphere? Was it like really methane, like what Earth was in the early stages? Or?
I have no idea.
I don't think so. I think it was more probably like carbon dioxide would be my guess, because I think the ice caps there are mostly carbon dioxide.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
But Venus will look pretty much the same at that time period.
Yeah,
right?
Venus is the opposite.
No, Venus probably never looked like Earth.
Yeah, Venus is 300,000 years back. It would have, 300 million years back. It would have looked. It would look the same. Venus, because what is it's an acid drenched rock, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I've heard that Venus.
I mean, it's very much Earth-like. It's just its atmosphere is not.
Volatile.
What are we gonna say?
I've heard that Venus was like Earth from some sources, but I don't know.
It could have been.
From what I've heard, at least, I don't think Venus has ever had water on its surface. At least not like the way that Earth and Mars did.
Did you find that article yet, Leo, or do we?
Yeah, I did. It was called Early Dark Energy, and it was a way of overcoming the crisis in cosmology. But there were other cosmologists I know that were kind of like, yeah, this is kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Like, what? We already don't understand what dark energy is. Now, why are you adding in a completely different type of it to solve problems? Like, what? That just makes no sense. You're positing even more mysterious things to solve mysterious problems. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, I don't really like the term crisis for what's going. Like, it's still a big issue, but compared to other things that we have solved, it's a relatively minor one, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I like maybe Hubble tension better than Hubble crisis or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, most refer to it as the Hubble tension. They don't refer to it as a crisis because it's not a crisis.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I don't know if anyone knows what the lithium problem is. It's basically when you do the math of primordial nucleosynthesis in the early hot dense universe, you find, okay, the amounts we see, not today, but like in the relatively soon after the Big Bang, the amounts of heavy hydrogen, deuterium, and different isotopes of helium match up pretty well, but lithium is kind of the outlier, and we're not exactly sure why. It may have something to do, in my opinion, because it's such a fragile element. Like you hit it once and it pretty much falls apart, and there are so many astrophysical ping pong, or you know what I'm saying, like ways to crash atoms apart in space. So I don't know. But that's kind of the same level of issue we're talking about here. Did I break up the room?
Oh,
don't
sorry, I
think
was
so.
sitting there talking with my microphone muted.
I
No,
was
you
like, oh
didn't,
no, I silenced the room.
you didn't silence the room. I was waiting for Speed to respond since, yeah, it was his.
Should we tackle this comment we got highlighted here? Did anyone else watch that? Or
I
most
did
of the
not.
viewers?
I didn't even watch that debate. I chimed in like 3 or 4 different times. Every single fucking time I chimed in, it was McQueen talking, and I was just like, yeah, fuck this. I'm not going back. Fuck that, dude.
Logan Fisher, yes. I as far as I remember, it's too little lithium by a few orders of magnitude. So yeah, lithium's kind of the outlier there. There should be more than we see, as if I recall
The
correctly.
universe?
Wait, but
Yeah.
if lithium can be destroyed via fission processes easily, why
Yeah,
would we
that's
expect there to
what
be
I was
more?
saying. That's why it's kind of a minor issue, because yeah, there are probably ways it gets it's gotten destroyed over time, and that's why
I
it's
think it's also like even stars use it up, right?
yeah,
also
that's
a bit.
true too. Yeah, stars
Yeah.
fuse it up. And then, of course, there are people who mention it and then say, oh, it completely annihilates Big Bang cosmology because of this one issue. Or, I mean, I guess we've seen that already relatively recently with all this other stuff going on. What do you think, Leo?
I don't know. I'm not really concerned about the opinions of people that don't know what the fucking isotope is, let alone anything related to modern cosmology. So
Yeah.
at some point, you just stop giving a shit about the opinions of obviously uneducated people. Like, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, I think there's some good reason to that, but also, like, as we've seen with anti-vaxxers, climate change skeptics, like, you can't go off the pedal too much on that, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I think Erica was really she was a lot more brutal in that review than with some other things, and I don't blame her, because from what I saw from the debate, like, it was mostly McQueen giving anecdotes and, oh, this guy said this, therefore what you're showing about radiometric dating is wrong. And that was pretty much the entire debate. Or kind of to simplify it.
I could not debate someone like McQueen. Oh my god, it would be really bad. Because he would start writing stuff on his whiteboard that has nothing even remotely related to what the fuck I'm talking about. I would just have to stop him. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you bloviate about completely unrelated things. It's a waste of my time.
I mean, that's not to say he's unknowledgeable about some things. Just like I don't think.
Well, I don't think he's
unknowledgeable.
He's just
disagree that
dishonest.
he's not a good debater.
McQueen, I don't think he's a good debater.
Yeah. Then again,
I don't think he's uneducated either. I think he's just dishonest.
Yeah.
Like every creationist, they're just dishonest to some extent or another.
Well, it was like Erica was saying in her review that he's been doing this for probably several decades now. It's not like he's going to change his mind overnight on one debate, or probably ever. But I was actually kind of really disappointed, because I thought, oh, they were going to go on potassium argon dating and maybe some other stuff, but no, it was basically boiling down to, oh, it's all a conspiracy. Like, there was no meat to chew on, basically, and really made me sad that it didn't go in any more depth than that.
Yeah, Captain Desk McQueen uses a whiteboard, but he's not like Katie Porter, unfortunately. I'm probably the only one that gets that. Maybe Bree gets it. I don't know if Bree knows who Katie Porter is, but she's fucking amazing. And she got reelected, so she's the short, the dark-haired, like just above the shoulders, cut hair, curly in the House of Representatives, little bigger lady. Always has the whiteboard when she's grilling like some CEO, writing stuff out on the whiteboard. That's Katie Porter. Yep, and she got reelected, so I'm glad for that. She has been. Holy fuck, she's my fucking spirit animal, like straight up. That oh my god, dude, if every fucking person in Congress were like her, holy fucking shit. Oh my god, I just don't, well, I do understand it. I'm just not going to get into that right now because most people don't care about the complexities of sociology.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
So Leo, did you happen to see my comment to you? I don't know which stream it was, but recently I think Professor Dave did a debunk of him at one time, but it was some guy who apparently thought the CMB was caused by oceans.
Huh? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Kind of glad I haven't, if I'm being honest.
Or there was this one video I watched recently by Martimer81, I think is his channel name.
Oh, Martimer? Yeah, Martimer's pretty good. I like him.
Yeah, it was apparently this guy thinks the CMB is due to basically the Oort cloud spread around the entire galaxy, and that's what's emitting this radiation. Like, I don't know.
That couldn't be the case.
Well, yeah, just all these crazy ideas. Like, I admired the innovative ideas, to put it that way, but like, you got a few hurdles to overcome. Then,
yeah, you got to admire the radicality of their attempts to overcome this issue because it's so detrimental to their idiotic worldview. Like, A+ on the creativity, but you're wrong.
Yeah, that is basically what I'm saying. I like what Logan says here. CMB is caused by pigeons. Everyone knows that. Oh yeah,
Just,
that's the secret truth.
Sweep some crap away, then it will solve the issue.
Oh yeah, and what Icarus says here, it's Casey. It's not a conspiracy because of the statistical analysis I did here. McQueen, you're wrong because let's talk about the thing that happened to me. Yep, that's pretty much the debate.
I was muted that whole time. Anyway, and never mind that. I just a quick reminder to everybody, even though it's not for another almost month. December 18th. Is that a Friday? I believe that's a Friday. I could be wrong, but I think that's a Friday. December 18th at, I believe, 8:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have a debate. I'm currently reviewing the email to make sure that I have everything correct in terms of dates.
What's the debate about?
Just give me a second here.
Okay.
Yes. No, Monday, December 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means 7 p.m. Central. On Monday, December 19th. The topic is, does the Christian God exist? And I will be debating David Pullman, who is going to be an enjoyable person to interact with. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say that.
Have you figured out if you're going to be able to come down and do the thing for New Year's yet?
No. I probably will not know for a week or two.
Okay. I'm excited about it, so it'd be fun to meet you.
It would be fun to go down. Sucks when you don't have a job because that's the only way you can make money to do things in society.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there anyway.
What is the thing for New Year's?
Don't worry about it. On a need-to-know basis.
No, Robbie gave me permission to invite people. Plus, the place is rented in my name. I can invite my friends.
You're echoing, Speed.
That was a serious echo.
Who's that?
I mean, there is a literal serious echo.
Okay.
So now we all heard it 3 times. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. Oh,
Is that speed echoing?
yeah. I don't know what the issue is with his little
pops on and off. So
Yeah,
his little setup.
Math Pig is flying into St. Louis for to see his girlfriend from the 22nd to the 2nd in December, and they're having a New Year's party the weekend of New Year's Eve or New Year's weekend. It's a Saturday and Sunday, so we rented a Airbnb, and we're gonna all get together to bring in the New Year as a group. And it'd be awesome if Leo could go. It'd be awesome if you all wanted to come and show up. But there is a limited space, so if you're interested,
I just got to figure out if I can bring down $150 and if I can use my mother's vehicle, because I don't want to drive my car 3 hours away because I don't trust it.
So Bree, send me the details. So it's in St. Louis. Is it like, are there other hotels available?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to. So hold on, Robbie just posted a thing about it. Let me just pull it up here.
I was gonna say, I mean, they're renting an Airbnb. You wouldn't really need to stay in a hotel.
Yeah, it's so Friday through Sunday, Friday the 30th through Sunday the 1st. It's they got the price on here or not? But altogether, we got accommodations to visit the city museum. We're gonna have a pizza party. We're going to go. We're gonna have a New Year's Eve party.
You can do some bar hopping.
There's a T-shirt included for it. It should just be a fun. It's not like a conference or anything. We're not going to stand up and give speeches or anything like that. We're just going to hang out and have fun and go.
It's too bad it's not in the summer. We could go to a Cardinals game.
Yeah, if it was in the summer, you couldn't keep me from taking everybody to the zoo, though.
It's the St. Louis Zoo. Why wouldn't you go? I would go just to protest the existence of zoos, which I think is immoral.
St. Louis Zoo is very beneficial to the ecology, though. They spend a lot of money on conservation efforts and things like that.
That's great. They can do that without it being a zoo. You can conserve things while it's still in the wild. You don't have to bring it into a private place and limit its ability to roam in order to save it.
Yeah, bringing new animals from the wild into a zoo is ridiculous and pointless. But animals that were born and bred in the zoo to educate people about the existence of the animals and why we should conserve the species. It's important to have them able to see the animals themselves and see what we're trying to help and see the.
Yeah, can't they go see them in the wild on safaris? Like if you want to see a giraffe, you can fly your happy ass to Africa.
That's more detrimental to the ecology of the organisms in the wild, though.
Why?
Some of these creatures live in very delicate forests. If we start bringing tours through those well, then you don't see the animals. Simple as that. Yeah. But you don't get to force them into captivity so that little 4th graders from Iowa can look at them. That's just not okay. Yeah, they're again not forced into captivity, born in captivity.
They kind of are. Like if you're born in a Nazi concentration camp, you're still in cap. Like that doesn't somehow remove the fact that like you're in a concentration camp.
You get beat up by a bunch of 4th graders in Iowa.
No, I just don't believe in zoos and aquariums. They should be banned.
Okay, so it's not about 4th graders in Iowa.
No, it's about the animals shouldn't be held in captivity so that little 4th graders from fucking Wisconsin can look at them and say, "Oh, mommy, look at that one." I don't care. If researchers want to study them, they can go study them in the wild in their habitat. If that's going to be detrimental, then you're just not going to fucking study them, are you?
Yeah. Okay. I have my little setup here, and I do the same thing to show people and teach people about organisms that they're otherwise adverse to or don't really care about and think about. I think that having live specimens is a beneficial to science communication as a whole, especially when you're teaching people about the animals and the ecologies that we're trying to sustain and to rehabilitate. That's just my position on it.
Well, I'm not saying science shouldn't be able to study animals. I'm saying that we don't need zoos to facilitate it. Like zoos do not need to be an institution to facilitate the research of these animals in their habitats.
Zoo, if you think about a zoo, is more like, again, science exhibits to explain about the organisms themselves. They're not concrete cages with bars these days. They generally have
but they're still drastically restricted habitats that don't nearly provide what it is that the animals need. And in virtue of that, it's wrong.
If we don't raise some animals in zoos, we're never going to see them again.
I don't care.
You don't.
No, let the evolutionary processes take their toll. Species go extinct. It happens. New ones come into existence, so to speak.
Well, I mean, but
I'm using
we're
colloquial
artificially
language there.
driving them into extinction, though. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
but that's not
natural.
like because like of like zoos and stuff, though. That's
No,
just
it's-
because of capitalism.
So we can because there's this external force of humanity and the Anthropocene extinction of it and driving these animals into extinction. The conservation, the environmentalists, all we can do is try to take them out of the wild and take them away from these areas where they're going to die naturally to try to preserve the species. So at some point, potentially, that we can revive them in their natural habitat.
I would say just abolish the current mode of production under which we live. Why would we continue to maintain systems that are detrimental to a vast majority of living organisms on the planet?
Yeah,
it's to me, it's sort of like looking at it. You wake up you live down by the river, and your back porch overlooks the river, and you wake up every morning, and as you're drinking your cup of coffee out on your porch, you keep having to go and save one or a couple of people from the river. And you sit there and say, you know what? I bet if I put up a net with a lifeline on it, that would help these people. If I'm not here to save them, they would be able to use that to get to the bank. And this would really help with these people not being, in the river and then drowning. And that's 100% correct. That would be a great idea to do. That would be something that, all things being equal, ought to be done. But what I'm going to say is, why don't we go upriver, figure out why people are falling in the first place? So there's going to be a difference between mitigating a problem and solving it.
So the people that are the conservation efforts are done by people who don't have the power to solve the issues, the climate change.
What I'm getting at is conservation doesn't require zoos and aquariums. You can have conservation that is very meaningful absent those.
Bullshit. Funding for conservation absolutely requires getting people to be interested in what
I don't think so.
You're trying to say.
We don't need people to be interesed in something for the government to put money into it.
Then they don't put money into it.
But that's the thing, is that the average person doesn't decide these things. We don't live in a democracy, number one. The average person doesn't decide these things, number two. The government does. There could be 3% of people interested in it, and the government could still dump 60% of its budget into it if it so chose. We don't need people to be interested in these things to fund them. Half the shit the government funds right now, most people aren't just disinterested in it. They don't want the government funding it. So we're not living
in your communist utopia, though. We're living in the
I don't believe in that. And I don't know what that has to do with what I said.
Because we don't live in a society where where it's sustainable for us to. If we lived in a perfect society,
I think we do.
I would say yes, zoos are awful. We should get rid of them. But since we depend on finances to try, because again, the conservationists don't have the power to do anything besides preserve these organisms in reserves and in parks and zoos and aquariums and rehabilitation centers that you can visit like a zoo. There's a wolf rehabilitation center not too far from here where they take in different wolves that were in some situation, and it's not just wolves, they African wild dogs too, but they need funding, and they get their funding from people coming in through doing the tours and seeing the animals and interacting with them and saying, hey, I want to make sure that these are still around for future generations to see. So when they see something on the ballot about preserving a national park where wolves live, they're going to vote yes on it. They're going to check that box instead of the other one because they went and saw wolves when they were a kid on their Iowa.
The national parks aren't zoos, are they?
But seeing the wolves in the zoo makes them want to help protect the wolves in the national park.
And this comes at the expense of the wolves.
That comes at the expense of the wolves in the zoo.
Should we put humans in zoos too, so that people can see them and learn about them as well?
Oh wow, that's we're taking this to the extreme, Leo Felius.
Well, no, but that was a serious question. Should we put humans in zoos so that people can see them and learn about them?
Are we trying to conserve the human population? I'm not.
So you're saying that zoos are operated only for the sake of conserving species? Because I certainly don't think that's true.
We're not in the high Victorian era where they're the king's menagerie. Now it's actually conservation efforts almost completely. There are private zoos. There are small zoos that are for profit. I don't support those. I think they should have their animals taken away. But zoos run by conservation organizations that put their finances into conservation efforts of the animals that they have on hand. And not most of the time, I guess, if they're bringing animals in now, new animals that weren't born in captivity, it's generally a rescue effort, an organism that was, for whatever reason, struggling to survive, or abandoned, orphaned, whatever. That's generally what you see with them bringing new animals into zoos these days. However, during the old days, they just captured whatever they wanted. Did whatever they wanted. The king's menagerie. He wants fancy animals to show off. Whatever. That was the idea behind a zoo. But today, it's kind of changed hand because the public doesn't want to see that anymore. That's why circuses are banned. That's why, not circuses aren't banned. That's why people don't go to circuses anymore. I'm anti-circus to my bones.
For monkey for banana, no, I'm not a vegan.
I would stand outside a circus with a protest sign. I absolutely.
My point is, nothing that you're saying. I think it can be argued that zoos are required to facilitate that. I think that one can point to a variety of different measures that could be implemented that would just as well, if not better, facilitate these things.
How do people interact with organisms directly without them being either forced into the organism's natural environment, which is more detrimental to the species, or bringing the organisms to the human population to observe them there?
I don't think that controlled tours through environments is actually more detrimental than zoos are.
It's demonstrably more detrimental.
I just don't think so. I think the Australian zoo, owned by the Irwin family, shows that, because they don't have theirs is effectively just a wildlife reserve that they call a zoo, but it's not like.
That's what most zoos are now, Leo.
I don't actually think so. The St. Louis Zoo is not that. The Omaha Zoo is not that. The Blank Park Zoo is not that.
Never been to
every zoo. You've never been to the Omaha Zoo?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, pretty much every zoo in like every major city in the United States, the Central Park Zoo is not a wildlife reserve. Now, if that's all zoos were, I wouldn't have an issue, because I don't consider that a zoo. I consider that a wildlife reserve. I'm not arguing against reserves. I'm arguing against zoos, and I don't think that they're the same thing.
I think you have an idea of your zoo that's not of what a zoo is. That's really
it's every zoo that I've ever been to.
I'm talking about at all, because
enclosed places where animals are drastically limited and don't technically live in their habitats. Lions don't belong in fucking Iowa, where it gets to negative 40 fucking degrees in the winter. Regardless of whether you can make some sort of like greenhouse that mimics, the warm savanna, the 90 degrees of like the African savanna. It doesn't matter that you can simulate that.
There used to be lions in North America, if I'm not mistaken. There used to be lions.
Well, yeah, not like 2,000 years ago, maybe like 25,000 years ago, when most of North America was significantly more tropical than it is today.
Well, there were lions in Europe when it was
more tropical than it is today. Yes.
2,000 years ago, there were lions in Europe.
I'm not talking about mountain lions, because that's not a lion. That's a cougar.
No, okay.
I'm talking African lions.
Do not live in
I'm talking about African lions.
I'm talking about Leo. The Panthera Leo lived in Europe until.
Is that the African lion?
2,000 years ago, huh?
Is that the same thing as the African lion?
Yes, Panthera Leo is the African.
You're telling me there have been African lions native to Europe?
There's still
have to Google that.
In Asia.
I'm wondering if they're native to Europe, why it's called the African lion.
You're calling them African lion.
No, there's literally a lion called the African lion.
Yes, but the species lion, there's only one species of lion.
Yeah, so African lions once roamed most of Africa and parts of Asia and Europe, but the species has disappeared from 94% of its historic range and can only be found today in parts of sub-Saharan Africa. And this is according to National Geographic.
Yeah.
So if you're talking
I
about a broader category of lions, that's fine. I don't, you know way more than I do, but I'm talking about African lions, which is the kind of like the ideal image of like when most people think of a lion, like, you know, the Lion King and all that stuff, that's it's the African lion, which is
I'm okay with that.
Can I
Iowa.
like I actually agree with most of your take, Leo, but the logic that lions don't belong in Africa is a bit flawed because it's the naturalistic fallacy, I would say, and also if you follow the logic,
how did I present the naturalistic fallacy?
Because you say that they don't belong in, like, basically it's
how is that a
natural
naturalistic fallacy? If I said a fish does not belong on a mountaintop, is that a naturalistic fallacy?
Well, a fish.
I don't think so.
Die,
I think that's what I'm saying. A sub-Saharan African lion, evolutionarily, is not designed to exist in Iowa in the middle of frickin' February when it's negative 30 fucking degrees. It would die really, really quickly. No, it is actually evolutionarily not designed for that environment. That's what I'm saying. That's true.
But now you're changing. I'm
not changing the argument. I think that you misunderstood what point I was trying to make.
You're misunderstanding Africa and it's the very geography that we have in Africa. Africa is not just tropical. It's not this big.
I know that, but there is no place in Africa where it drops below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I almost guarantee you that. There might be places where it has in the past. There is no place on the continent of Africa where it is for some period of time, seasonally, consistently below freezing. That is a fact. There is no place in Africa where throughout November, December, January, and February, it is identical to being in fucking Canada. No, that's not the case.
I never thought I would be in the position of defending zoos. Usually I'm tearing down the concept, but I think that there are good zoos. I think the St. Louis Zoo is a good zoo because of the support they give to environmental efforts and conservation efforts. I stand by that, and I stand by the fact that having access to the organisms that we're trying to preserve and letting the people see those organisms is beneficial to the conservation process. It's almost, and I don't disagree that tours through areas to see the organisms and their natural habitat aren't beneficial. They lead to the problem that we have with that. And see, there's documentaries on it in some of these areas in Africa where they do it. The pollution that tourists leave behind is disgusting. And if we can
and then tell them, if you guys don't pick up your shit, we're shutting this down and you won't be able to come look at these animals.
Right. I'm with you, honey.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you, if the public is not able to see animals, I really don't give a shit. As long as experts can do what they need to do, that's all I care about. I just, look, it might sound bad. I really don't care. I don't care if the public isn't able to go see a giraffe on a Saturday afternoon. I don't care. I don't care that you can't take your family to go see a giraffe. I just don't care.
The people stop caring about them and don't care about protecting their habitat.
But that's not relevant to whether or not we save them or help them.
Because we didn't tell people that they needed help. That we didn't tell people that these are the animals that need help. I guess I'm with you. If that's
it's the same reason why we don't have like $50 trips to the bottom of the ocean. Like, I don't care if people can't go down there to see the infinite blackness. I don't give a shit. But the idea that, but like zoos, people fund them, and it's like, to me, when I hear that, and Alec is saying, but like under capitalism, these billionaires, they create all these foundations and they donate, hundreds of millions of dollars a year to all of these, or all of these things to help out. And so in virtue of that, capitalism is actually a good thing, except that it's not. Like, the fact that there can be certain good things that can happen under some structure doesn't mean that the structure itself is good. The fact that zoos can sometimes possibly be used to do some good things does not mean that the structure itself is good.
And to that extent, I don't disagree with you that the structure that zoos were built on, and many are still operated on, too many are still operated on, are not good. My counter is that zoos are used as rehabilitation centers, breeding centers to repopulate the number of a group of organisms that we have to help repopulate the population in the wild, and again benefit the ecology and stimulate the environment itself as a whole for the betterment of everybody. It's for a good, for an ultimate good, to be able to breed, whatever these organisms are, and return them back to their natural habitat to restore balance. Zoos offer and facilitate those services, and those services cannot be just run. They have to be paid for, right? So allowing people to come in and see, and the St. Louis Zoo is free. You don't even charge. They don't even charge to go in there. They make their money off of people getting merchandise and things like that. But the money that they make goes into the conservation efforts, the breeding efforts to restore populations, to rehabilitate, to build centers in again, like you're talking about wildlife tourism, to build centers like that. I know that they did a lot of funding for the orangutan sanctuary in it was Borneo, and the St. Louis Zoo directly funded this project and you got to understand that on these islands, the habitat restriction caused by nothing that the conservationists can do about it. It's banana farming. All we can do is save up enough money to buy the land to prevent them from turning it into banana farms. And we pay for that by saying, hey, these orangutans that we have here, there's very few of these guys left in the wild, so we have them here to breed them and try to maintain a population, because we don't know how long they're going to be left. Will you give us some money so we can help buy some land over there, where maybe the generations that we produce from these orangutans we have here in captivity can be restored to that area, and the population be maintained? These are, with something like an orangutan, you can appeal to people, appeal to their, I don't know if you've ever been face to face with an orangutan, but to their humanity, right? You could appeal to that. You can see they're coming over as ambassadors for their species that humankind is encroaching on. We're just doing what we can to try to cut out a little slice of that, and if that means having facilities in other countries, other parts of the world that people can come to learn about our efforts, and to learn about what they can do, and to learn about what we're trying to save here, it makes a difference. I don't see how that can be ignored.
I didn't say it made a difference. I said that it's not necessary for funding these things. I don't need public outreach to fund things. If that were the case, Social Security would have stopped being funded 50 years ago. If that were the case, the military would have stopped being funded God knows how long ago. I don't care about whether something is popular with the people. I can just make the government do it. The government can just fund things. I don't need people to like the program.
How do you make the government do stuff without getting people to support it?
The same way that it happens now. You give them shit piles of money to do what you want them to do, because that's what gets the government to do things. People like wanting things doesn't get the government to do things. So like that's not going to matter even now.
That's why we're raising money the way we are for these services. Again, there's very few zoos, like city zoos, that are not run completely on a conservation standard. Even the Omaha Zoo, I've been looking into it while you were talking here about their conservation efforts. That's how those zoos are operated and financed now. But there are private zoos and that run things a little nastier.
Now, if these zoos change themselves to become more like reserve habitats rather than enclosed zoos, great. I'm all for that. That would be great. But that's not what a lot of them are. They're not like reserve habitats. They're enclosed zoos. That's the problem. The problem is the way that we are keeping these animals. We can do significantly better. We need to do significantly better. And that's what I'm saying. When I'm talking about a zoo, I'm not talking about 160 acres of like open land that is specially designed for animals where they have room to like roam about and things. I'm talking about where like the whale is in like a 90 by 90 water tank and has like,
yeah,
like that's what I'm talking about.
That at all.
So any zoo that's not like that, then I'm just not talking about it.
Yeah, well, I agree with you about those zoos and you'll see that even the zoos, like what we were talking about, like the New York Zoo was one of the big ones that we had went through their big renovation where they gave the animals more spacious and naturalistic habitats. The Central Park Zoo, I think it was, but St. Louis Zoo did that recently with their River's Edge program, which opened up a lot of the area to be more like the natural habitat of these organisms. But I agree, it's hard in a place like St. Louis to sustain them for over winter, when their habitat cannot be, you got a capybara out there and the habitat, you can't give a capybara a Brazilian habitat in St. Louis, Missouri. I think the solution for that is literally migratory zoo attractions, with these breeding organisms that we have to make sure that we can sustain the population. Just move, like say, maybe move organisms from St. Louis to San Antonio for the winter, something like that. Of course, that's undue stress on the organisms too. So there's a lot to take into consideration. It's not a perfect system. Keeping animals in captivity is not optimal. It's not the best solution.
I think it should be minimized where possible
right now to move things. I know you think that that's not true, but I'm telling you that it's supposed to be true anyway. And
it's not that I'm saying that it's not true. I'm saying that I don't care about like public outreach. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I'm saying that with respect to what point I'm trying to make, it's just not relevant. I don't care. I don't care about public outreach for a lot of things. Like even with universal healthcare, when I'm talking specifically about policy proposals to be enacted, I don't care about public outreach in that particular discussion. Now, if I was having a discussion about the popularity of like, say, a universal healthcare system and, how can we increase it? Then I'm going to be interested in outreach programs. But when I'm talking about just specific policy proposals with respect to some idea, it is in the limited or rather narrow scope of that discussion. I just don't care about outreach stuff. Again, that's not to say that it's not important or that I don't care about it in other contexts, just that with respect to whatever particular point I'm making in that context, it isn't relevant. And in virtue of that, I just don't have much of a concern for it. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. It's not like I don't ever care about it at all. It's just, okay.
No. And I appreciate you that we were able to push back and forth on this issue, because I think that we probably, I don't know, did the side chat, did you guys learn a lot more about
Gur actually had a really good idea there.
Are able to make a more informed opinion on it?
I want to make my point that I was not allowed to make before, but may I?
Yes, go please. I'm sorry.
I just want to say that lions can actually survive in cold climates.
Well, I didn't say they couldn't. I said that that's not like the ideal environment. Just like there are probably instances where saltwater fish could potentially survive in freshwater, but it's not ideal for them. Like, yeah, they might survive, but it's not.
So I don't know. I think that lions have they would still retain the genes that their bodies can, because like lions in the mountains in Ethiopia have thicker coats than ones. Sometimes they retain their spots into adulthood too, but that's a completely different topic. But they have thicker coats because it's colder up there. So I think they still they would naturally retain some of those genes, because like Ness is saying, that the species that lives only in Africa now and in Asia.
Like just because the current range is in Africa, that doesn't mean that they only belong, quote unquote, only belong there.
I don't know what belong would mean in like a strict biological. I don't think that belong almost
what do you mean by
normative.
Belong? Like,
when I say belong, I'm just using some sort of colloquial usage, referring to what sorts of environments some organism evolved to best survive in. Obviously, we could look at probably most organisms on the planet and put them in environments that are very much outside of what they're probably capable of surviving in, and at least some of them will still survive. That's literally just life. Life does that. But that doesn't mean that they're supposed, like, I could take a human and put them in the ocean for 3 days. Yeah, they're probably going to be alive when I come back, but let's not act like the human is designed to exist in the ocean for 3 days simply because they can survive there.
By your own reasoning, like Siberia and Alaska could also be suboptimal locations for humans to survive. But
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. They are suboptimal. I don't think that organisms surviving in an environment somehow refutes the idea that the environment is a suboptimal environment for the organism.
But I don't equate that with they don't belong there. I don't equate with that. I wouldn't say they don't belong there because the environment.
Well, but it depends on what you mean by belong. If by belong you mean it's a suboptimal environment
itself, once was spread across the African Eurasian continent as a whole, a single species of
course it was.
We wiped them out everywhere, but Africa and a little population in Asia. It doesn't mean that they can't survive in a higher latitude. But am I understanding you right, Ness?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry.
That lions as a species once expand from Russia to the Horn of Africa to
and you had also you had lions in Europe and also lions in North America. And actually, I've seen just a minute ago that the lions in Europe specifically went extinct either due to humans or warming climate.
Yeah, the cave lions.
The cave lions, yeah.
Yes.
And they were the same species, or at least
they were different subspecies, but it was the same.
Maybe yeah.
But I know we're being pedantic, actually.
But of course, I still
lions specifically, but
I still agree with the overall argument that zoos are not very good, at least. But I wouldn't use the argument about they don't belong there. Like, I wouldn't use that because I think it's a very flawed argument. That's all I'm saying.
Did somebody present an argument?
This was actually like one of the best little debate. I mean, I know it wasn't a formal debate, but one of the best debates I've ever really been in. So
well, and even Gur said he's like, me and you, Bree, should upload this discussion to our respective channels.
Right.
I think it actually was an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Got to have those because we don't have them. Well, we have them actually a lot, but other discussions that we get involved in are not nearly as informative as this one.
Just to be clear, what did you mean by belong?
I said that what I meant is that to say that some species quote unquote belongs in some environment in some colloquial sense is to say that that environment is the most optimal for that species survival. So we would say that a fish does not belong in the desert, or we could say that a human does not belong 8,000 feet below sea level. And I think that most people would understand what it is that I mean when I say that.
You are equating with suboptimal with impossible to survive.
I don't think I'm equating those at all. Because I didn't argue that it's impossible for a fish to survive in the desert. Maybe who knows? Maybe it's not. What I'm saying is that the environment is not optimal to the survival. I think you would agree with that. When I say that a fish does not belong in the desert, I think you understand what it is that I mean when I say that. The desert is the kind of environment that which a fish is not designed to survive in. And while sure, there may be some fish that maybe could survive in that environment, at least to some extent, largely fish aren't going to survive in the desert.
Well, when I'm just saying when I hear belong, I think of a normative meaning. That's all I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't equate belong with optimal. I wouldn't equate those two things.
So I think Leo, you definitely have to understand there's a fundamental difference between being outside of your natural environment and being in an environment that is detrimental to your survival, right? I mean,
well, I think the latter would be entailed in at least some instances by the former. Being in an environment detrimental to your survival is to be in an environment that is not optimal to your survival, but it just takes it a step further.
Okay. But you can, I guess, with the natural pressures that you're going to be under by moving through an environment, your body can't adjust changes. Our a lion, for instance, a wolf's a good example too. They actually, their bodies are going to respond differently to whatever climate that they're in, right? A dog sheds when it gets warm, essentially.
I think a better way to word my argument is that it would be like if I said pigs don't belong in confinement facilities. Like, obviously, pigs survive in them quite well. Some might even say a pig has a somewhat cushy life in that instance. They get fed, fat meals twice a day, all that. But, like, I think people would still be capable of understanding what I meant if I said pigs don't belong in a confinement facility.
Does a dog belong in a human's house?
Yes.
What's the difference there?
That dogs were specifically bred to be companions, household companions, but I don't think pigs were specifically bred to be held en masse in confinement facilities. But even if I argued that they were, that doesn't remove the moral considerations in the argument that it is still immoral to house massive amounts of pigs in confinement facilities.
So you think domestic pigs shouldn't exist at all?
Well, not in the ways that they currently do, at least.
What about I'm assuming this extends to cattle.
What I'm saying is that, like, there's nothing wrong with farming. The problem is with factory farming.
Oh, I'm with you, baby. So you think that they should we should do free range? Should be.
I think that confinement facilities are probably going to be essential to modern agriculture, but it's going to be the style of the facilities, the employer or the employees, the restrictions applied. There's just going to be several factors that play into this. It's probably going to get a little bit. I'm not necessarily averse to explaining it.
Insect protein, no, we don't need nearly as much room for.
Yeah, and see that those are other things like shifts to insect protein, lab-grown meat, which reduce the demand for confinement facilities and thus the demand to confine it. Like that's what I'm getting at, is that there's a lot of different things that we could look at to reduce this. And I think that those methods should be like insect protein. I don't know why that's not like a staple in most foods on the planet. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Well, of course, but if we just started putting it in food, it's not like people are going to stop eating their crackers because, they've got, like, there are some foods, I don't know the extent to which, but I do know that there are some foods currently that have insect extracts in them. So
yeah, we already have a certain amount of animal protein that's allowed inside your grain production, right?
Yep.
What are we looking at here, Speed?
It's an interesting looking pencil thing.
We're looking at Dr.
That looks depressing.
Dr. Chris's discussion with Sal Cordova. Only three or four people are watching, and that's an atrocity. I think everybody in our chat should go over and watch this. I just linked the video. So,
hey, Amy, it was fun hanging out with you earlier today. Glad to see you again.
Wait, where'd you guys hang out at?
Oh, you watched and from Randolph's.
You guys were on. Wait, you were on there? When did you join?
Yeah. I was like number 4.
I stopped listening when the one guy came on and started like making an argument, and T-Jump said, "That's dumb, that's stupid, that's dumb, that's stupid," and he was like, "Yeah, but that's just like overly dismissive. Like, do you have an actual response? Or are you just going to keep saying that it's dumb and you've already debunked it and all this?" And I just stopped listening because T-Jump's like, "Yeah, let's just kick this guy off the stage." And then they did. And it's just like, why the fuck are we doing this? Like, why is it that somebody comes in here and actually challenges one of the panel members on what they're saying? Like, hey, I feel like you're just being very overly dismissive and you're not making a meaningful attempt to actually address what I'm saying, which is what I would rather you do. And then we just kick them. It's just so fucking bad.
Yeah.
So
I don't
fucking
think T-Jump liked my argument either. He didn't. He was just like, so what about it? I didn't really care.
I feel like T-Jump thinks he owns that program when he doesn't. He wasn't even on the first episode. And that's what bothers me the most, because I don't think T-Jump is a bad person. I don't dislike him, and I don't think he's stupid. I just think he's very intellectually lazy.
What was the argument about?
Oh, but you go in there, they have a thing where you got to convince them there's a God.
Oh, okay. So
No, I think he
T-Jump
wanted to
was
know
like-
what your argument was. That T-Jump.
Oh,
yeah,
what
what
mine
was your
was?
argument? What was T-Jump's
Gaianism,
problem?
the Gaia hypothesis. I'm not confused with Gaianism, the pagan Greek paganism practice. I wish I had a better name for it, but Gaia hypothesis is what they went with, so I have to deal with it. Now everybody thinks I'm a pagan and I carry and I have crystals and all this crap, but no, that's not my position.
You believe in something that could just be kind of summarized as an anima mundi, don't you?
Yeah, it's a superorganism that has control over the environment and
sort of like that the whole of the biosphere is like I'm trying to think of words to use this that I think are going to be the most accurate.
It's controlled by a neural network, right?
Yeah,
aerobic and planktonic chemical signals as well, but yeah, it's mostly just a thought experiment that I like, because people come at you and say you're an atheist. They oh, you don't have any grounding or whatever for so.
And the funny thing is, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you're good. I said, so I thought I'd try this on for size and see how people handle it.
How does it fit?
Yeah, I like the idea. It's very my main thing is I try to be an environmentalist and conservationist, right? So it fits well with that.
And you know what's funny? Just really quickly, I got this term anima mundi. I should say it as it's supposed to be pronounced anima mundi from RuneScape. It's Latin for soul of the world.
Right.
So what would the implications be?
But I don't of
an anima mundi.
I would consider it more of a mind. Well, and I've
anima mundi.
I've had a lot of people up in my DMs about it all day today since I had that discussion. But yeah, it's just the notion that that we pick up on neural messages through the mycelial network that cover vast areas of the ecology, that the mycelia runs pretty much under everything, including marine environments, so that they can be continent spanning, and oceans don't even stand in the way of this network of information that's being passed through this giant superorganism that runs under everything. Now, I do agree that in modern times we've probably cut it all up and separated it out so it's not continuous around the world or anything, but I think at one point it potentially could have been. And we see this going all the way back to the microbial mats, so like the earliest life, right? Being interconnected with one another, single cell organisms. And it's just as it evolves along, and consider it like one organism developing and changing, and these different extinction events that impact this organism as a whole. If you think of like a composite organism, like a lichen, where we got different organisms all working together to sustain the ecology within itself, all working together, and the different extinction events are almost consider it like a growth stage. When we hit the Carboniferous rainforest collapse, right? When we came back, when life came back, when Gaia threw organisms back into the grinder again to start anew, we had these new organisms that were suddenly able to break down cellulose, so we didn't have the same type of problem. And so forth. Then we have, the Permian extinction event. It refines things again, and we go from having mostly sprawl-legged organisms to upright animals. So refining the environment and things getting more and more honed to be sustainable. I mean, look at us, each of us. We're all the surviving descendants of 6 mass extinction events. We are honed by this natural forces within the confines of this globe, right? And all organisms are under the same pressures. And if you think about the way that the Daisy World hypothesis is the main thing that I like to present on this, but that the organisms can and do work in conjunction to alter the environment, to alter the atmosphere, even greenhouse gases and things like that. And they're sending messages to one another, telling different groups of organisms what nutrients to send here and there, where we can cause a dieback to create a meadow, things like that. It's just fascinating.
So I'm with you on most of that, except for when you mentioned neural networks and mind. Like, in what way would it impact the mind?
What's that?
In what way would it have an impact on the mind? On
No,
my
I said it is a neural network.
it is a neural.
Is a neural network.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm with you on most of that. The evolution of life as a whole is what's turning out to be the case. The more we research,
we can call it the evolution of a superorganism.
Yeah,
it's all working together to keep this balance of life.
But unfortunately, any one part of it is not going to be matter to the whole that much. So we don't matter that much to the whole.
No more. You don't matter any more than the ant does as far as the Gaia is concerned. Well, I mean, humans have kind of separated ourselves
What does it
from
mean, matter?
Matter?
No, what does it mean to matter, for something to matter? Because I just take that to be something like it's going to probably be normative.
Okay.
So,
if we mattered, a lot would hinge upon our existence, and if nothing does, then we could blink out of existence.
Yeah, but in virtue of what does that make something matter more or not?
Relative.
What I mean, because I'm the one that said it, what I mean is that in sustaining Gaia, in sustaining the system.
Right, and sustaining the entire
That's what it
life
matters.
system.
How much an individual person doesn't really matter. Actually, animals don't really matter as much as fungus and plants do anyway in the system. But humans are actually detrimental to it. We're more like because we separated ourselves from the system. We started stealing the tools from the system and using them ourselves. We started learning how to manipulate the genes of different species to make crops and stuff, and then pushing the natural mycelial network and everything out in creating our own kind of they're basically diversity deserts like you see in the Midwest.
Anyway, guys, I want to end this, and I want you to stick around, Bree, backstage, if we could. But I think we got to end because I got to get on to some other things.
Okay.
So we're going to shoot her in the head.
Speed, you're going to be there Wednesday, right? You fucking better be, because you were extraordinarily pivotal to my growth, so you better be on my fucking celebration.
Wednesday at what time?
Wednesday, 6 o'clock, our time.
Our time.
The only time.
PM, the
in the
correct
one
time.
Zone.
Yes, the one true zone. Yep.
The central. There's a reason why it's called central. It's because
I should say all of us except Ness are in the time zone. It's our zone, guys.
It's the one true zone. Anyway, okay, yeah.
It only belongs to Ness in an honorary sense, since he's not actually in in the time zone.
Ness, are you in European time, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many hours ahead of
7?
British Standard Time, UTC, are you?
7?
I think 1.
Okay, that's what I thought was like 1 or 2, but I wasn't sure. I figured I'd ask.
So he'd be 7 hours ahead of us.
Do you? I'm sorry, Bree. Go ahead. Finish.
He's 7 hours ahead of us. That's all I was saying.
Okay. Do you mind, Ness? And you don't have to answer if you don't want. I don't want you to feel obligated. But would you mind if I asked what country you hail from?
Don't you know already? I think I have told you, or maybe Netherlands.
Okay. No, I was gonna say I don't think I knew it was like somewhere in that region, but I don't think I knew specifically. Like specifically where. But okay, yeah, awesome.
Okay, boys and girls, we're shooting her in the head right now. Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye, world.
Mark better be